Elysium is a mega-hyped sci-fi thriller with a message against poverty, which might actually cause poverty. Confused? Good. That means it's a good intro.
And I can be a Superman for you. I'll sweep you off your feet, and a princess you can be.
Hi, I'm Normal Guy, and this is Normal Guy versus the World. So, Elysium. That's like helium, only a girl. So there's this new movie out called Elysium, and it's billing itself as the movie of the year for those who like mega blockbusters and thought-provoking social commentary. And I'm thinking, that is literally what I do on this show. You see, I believe that stories have power because they have the power to change the way we think about the world and therefore change the way the world is. So I feel like it's really important to know what the stories that we're watching are telling about the world, and so what way they're making us think the world is like. So what story is Elysium telling? The usual, except it's rated R. Elysium is a world that is defined by the gap between the rich and the poor, income inequality. The problems in the world are because the rich are making sure they stay rich and the rest of the world stays poor. The only solution is for some hero to step in and, by force, take the stuff and the privileges of the rich and give them to the poor. Basically, the Lone Ranger, except with Matt Damon rather than Johnny Depp. This is a very common story to tell in Hollywood. Also, I don't think it's true. And I think telling these stories actually helps cause the income gap. Let me explain. With some help from President Obama. You see, in America, for most of our history, we had one main story that was told. That if you worked hard, you could pretty much be whatever you wanted to be. That changed in the 1970s when we adopted a story that was the most popular in Europe. That you can't make it because somebody over there, usually a king or a class or some political power, was keeping you down. And you need somebody, usually with political power, to, by force, change things and make them give you what you deserve. That was the story that was told in the French Revolution, in Nazi Germany, in communist Russia, on and on. Ironically, in the 1970s, when that story really took off and we started putting political policies in place that, reflected it, like gigantic expansion of welfare, that was when we saw the gigantic rise in income gap and had the cycles of poverty that we see today. People often blame the income gap as starting with Reagan's policies. The problem is Reagan only came into office in 1979 and the poverty rate started skyrocketing earlier in the 1970s. So he couldn't do that unless he was a Time Lord, which would be awesome. Any psychologist will tell you this story is a very harmful one because it makes people unable to make their situation or lives better because they're always blaming someone else for their problems and considering themselves helpless in those circumstances, helpless to do anything about it. If you want a counterexample, look at China, which after years of communism is slowly taking off government controls on the economy and is telling people, you can do it, you can be anything you want to be, and the middle class is growing. They're going to outpace us very soon and everyone knows it. If you think Americans are too patriotic, Chinese McDonald's commercials say they're the best country in the world. This is all to say stories we tell about ourselves and the world around us really have power. And the stories we've told about ourselves that followed the Elysium vision have really been part of the problem. Now this leads me to a very important speech Obama gave recently, where he said that you can no longer afford to blame somebody else for your problems. In this age of globalization, if you are blaming anyone else and depending on anyone other than God to grab you by the hand and pull you out of your circumstances, you will be left behind. That is not going to happen. Matt Damon is not coming. So, yeah, I'm siding with President Obama. Sorry, Elysium. Well, there you have it. If you have a comment on this episode, and I'm sure you have something to say, don't deny you have something to say about this episode. If it's about how great you thought my argument was, if you thought how horrible it was, or just that Matt Damon looks great bald, which he does, then tell me about it. Come on, I really want you to. And watch my other videos like of Lone Ranger where I talk about the philosophy behind that movie. Or when I talked about Superman and Batman and what different economic views they represent. Trust me, it's awesome. to keep watching more Normal Guy vs. the World and subscribe to my channel. You know you want to. Matt Damon wants you to. President Obama wants you to. Well, I think he does. He should.